This is Rating Descending,
where we watch IMDb's Worst 250 so you don't have to.
My name is Abigail Ward.
And I'm Michelle St. Clair.
And tonight we watched Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li. When a child, Chun-Li sees her father being captured by wealthy gangster Bison. When she grows up, she goes into a quest for justice and bring down the criminal organization Shadaloo, which is led by Bison. Let's watch. Who the fuck wrote that?
Even though we've said it so many times, it's always evergreen to tell the listeners that we don't write those taglines.
We don't. That's the problem.
They're so confusingly written sometimes.
Oh, dear. Well, have you been watching anything good?
Yeah, well, because I'm committed to living in this decade, I've been watching the Hunger Games with my housemates, you know? It's been the Hunger Games with Jennifer Lawrence.
I never watched it.
You know what? Here's the thing, because I was on Tumblr right at the right time for the Hunger Games.
Same.
Right? I had only ever watched the original, and I never watched Catching Fire, never watched Mockingjay, never read the books. But I knew a lot of... I respected the books because a lot of people said they were very good. The movies I had, I'll say now, mistaken for just generic sort of studio fare.
Yeah.
But I did like the first movie, so I still kind of liked it overall. I just thought that they dived in quality. That's what I assumed. Rewatching it, that first one especially is a real fucking cracker of a movie. Holy shit. Like, it's good. It's tight, man. There's some sequences in it that are like arresting. They're visual, you know, like the bit where she volunteers. When they first enter the games, it's like this big bloodbath, and they make the decision of like it's played in mostly silence. Oh. Not even like sound effects.
Who directed it?
Gary Ross, who did like Pleasantville and Seabiscuit.
And so have you watched the other Hunger Game films yet?
Yes. This partly came about because TikTok and Twitter have been redoing what Tumblr did in 2013 and just showing me so much of the new one, the new prequel one that came out. I'm like, I gotta watch it. And my housemate hadn't seen it, so we were like, let's watch through it together.
Cute.
Francis Lawrence is the director of the rest of them. I don't think I like his visual style as much, but Catching Fire, the second one, was so fucking good.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like something I totally slept on. Like you, I was fully online on Tumblr at the right time to see so much Hunger Games content that it almost repelled me. Like I didn't want to engage with it. I feel like because of it has such a dedicated fan base, the books must be engaging.
I've heard they're really genuinely good.
Yeah. And I love fantasy and I love sci-fi, even though I don't think it's sci-fi. It sounds like dystopian fantasy.
Yeah, I think it partly suffers from the thing that so many subgenres do, where like it starts almost a subgenre in and of itself of that dystopian YA fantasy. And so that means it gets associated with a lot of copycat things in a way that I don't think is actually indicative of the quality of it. You know, like the last one, Mockingjay, does suffer a little from being split into two movies, but not as much as any of the other split final movies that I've seen, whether it be Turf School or Twilight or any, like it functions, but each of those function as a movie and it functions as a one whole quite well, just not as solidly as the first two. It's really good. It's really like, you know, it's not like perfect or anything, but for like big studio fanfare, I had more fun watching it than almost any Marvel movie, that's for sure.
That's really good.
You know? It's like gripping, emotional. You get invested in the characters. That's good shit. I'm excited for the new one.
Ooh, whereas I'm watching Lost at the moment.
Seriously, what decade are we in? This can't be how we're living our lives in 2023.
What's wrong with a nostalgia trip or two?
Yeah, all right.
Well, the thing is with Lost, I almost had a similar thing to you with Hunger Games, where I remember when I worked back at like a JB Hi-Fi store in Sydney, a guy I worked with, he mentioned that he was trying to find a box set of Lost. And I almost made fun of him. I was like, what are you watching Lost for? What a silly show. You know, I wasn't that mean. I was kind of just joking with him of like, isn't Lost like notoriously terrible? And he was like, nah, dude, I love it. And my memory of it as a kid is watching the first season, and I fully tapped out when I realize now it must be the end of season 1 where they find this underground bunker. And I thought it was so strange and convoluted. as a child, I
Yeah.
tapped out. But as an adult, maybe I have gotten dumber because I feel like I'm really enjoying Lost more than I did as a child because it's so campy and silly.
It is campy.
And it's the characters are actually quite well done, and there's lots of good, intriguing plot lines and mystery. I mean, J.J. Abrams loves his fucking mystery box,
Yeah.
and every episode contains a new one, but it works, and that's what's so frustrating. It's like it feels cheap, and yet here I am excited for the next episode because I want an answer, even though I don't necessarily trust that the answer will be a good one.
Yeah.
I still want to know.
Do you know the like end of the show
No.
thing? Oh,
No.
okay. Well, I won't say anything.
I
'cause
don't.
I know some of the elements of it.
Well,
and stuff.
they keep our theories at the moment. I mean, it's always a possibility with shows like this, but we're like, are they in purgatory because they're all people that have to like redeem themselves, have all done questionable things? Like, how come there's like 5 of them that used to be con people and criminals? Like, all of them have some weird dirty past.
It is a crazy plane.
It is
right?
a crazy plane full of really bizarre stories of like, I'm on the run because I killed my mother's abuser, and then I accidentally killed the man I loved, and then I broke free from the marshal as soon as we hit the island. And then you've got Sawyer being like, I con women for money, and that's what I do. And then you've got Mr. Echo, who is a full-on criminal that was transporting heroin.
Oh wow.
And then you've got, Charlie, who's a heroin addict. There's a lot of dumb...
That's a bad combo.
It's a bad combo.
don't-
And they bring it up again and again.
There's the guy who is in Sense8, and then there's Dominic Monaghan, and that's kind of it for the cast.
The guy who was in Sense8, are you talking about Terry O'Quinn?
I have
He's
no idea.
old with bald. He's old and bald.
Oh no, not that guy.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure he's Indian. Maybe he's Sawyer or something. I don't know.
No. Oh, you're thinking of Naveen Andrews?
Yeah, maybe.
He was in Bride and Prejudice.
Oh, that's probably why he was familiar.
Yeah.
Wait,
oh, guess what? I
What?
showed Claude Bride and Prejudice
Oh
the
my
other night, and I
God.
mentioned to him how infamously on this podcast, I ask you every 4 months, have you seen Bride and Prejudice? And you have to say, you've shown it to me.
Yeah, yeah,
Angrily,
yeah.
for good reason.
You showed it to me, and yes, it was Naveen Andrews.
Yeah, I love Naveen Andrews.
He's
He has
great. He's
the
really good.
So he's like this hunky Iraqi dude on the island who used to be a torturer.
Jeez.
But he's so soft spoken and sweet, and he's like, Shannon, don't worry. That's not what I meant, Shannon. I am a torturer.
What's the name? What's the name of his character in Lost?
Saeed.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. But he's a really good character. I really like Saeed.
He's great in Sense8.
And it is genuinely creepy. Like, the island has the others. Like a group of other people that live on the island that attack them, which is genuinely terrifying. Because look, okay, this isn't a spoiler. It's been out for like 15 years.
I don't think it's possible to spoil Lost at this point.
There's a smoke monster on the
Yeah,
island.
that's like end of season 1, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh,
They
it's-
introduced the smoke monster.
Yeah. It's almost from the first episode. They introduced the idea of
Oh.
it, but you don't get to see it until the end of season 1. But that bit doesn't scare me. I'm like, ooh, wispy smoke tries to hurt them, whatever. But what's actually scary is always other people. And the
Yeah.
other people on the island, when you see glimpses of them, you're like, oh my God.
Well, as we established, there's nothing you fear more than it. There's nothing you fear more than deception.
It scares me so much. You know what scares me? Deception. And there's a lot of really good deception plot lines in Lost.
Nah, that's not real.
Well, you
and
know what's
couldn't
funny?
be real.
The reason I was intrigued to watch Lost again is because I heard there was a good deception plot line.
Yeah.
And it was creepy as. We just watched it.
I've
It was
heard
scary.
that Jack is it kind of has a big arc in the show or something.
Well, he is the protagonist, but what do you mean?
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
Okay.
Everything I know about the show, I'm gleaning from like cultural context of people talking about it, as well as bits on The Office.
Yeah.
So I know about the Dharma Initiative.
Yeah.
As well as one time I read this blog that I didn't understand. I thought it was someone explaining Lost, and what it was their theory that Lost is a game with a very specific point system. And I read through the whole thing of like 4 seasons,
course
and
you
the
did.
whole time I was like, what is this? I don't understand what this is. Like,
That sounds
Saeed is
cracked.
up several points, but Sawyer lost points for this thing, but he gained. And I'm like, what are they talking?
That's someone having a psychotic break and watching too much Lost.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a game.
But it means I know the names of many of the characters and many of the major plots.
I will say I love Sawyer. He's the classic anti-hero in that you kind of trust him and you want him to succeed, but he always opposes Jack, who's technically the protagonist.
Right. Who's Dominic Monaghan play?
Charlie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who's the bald guy with the
His name's John Locke.
John Locke?
Love John
Like
Locke.
the philosopher.
John Donne, you mean?
John Locke is a philosopher, isn't
Really?
he? Yeah, isn't he? Or at least...
Oh, no, you're so right.
Yes!
He is an English philosopher and physician.
Yeah.
What an interesting way. Why did they name him after John Locke?
I don't know, he's just like a classical liberal figure, I'm pretty sure.
Well, John Locke is a really fantastic, intriguing, strange character. And the whole thing is that he couldn't walk. He was in a wheelchair. And then when they hit the island...
Now he can walk.
He can walk.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And the reveal of that was so good because you don't know that he couldn't walk beforehand.
Right.
And it explains a lot of his actions in the first couple of episodes as to why he's so... He's moved when he's there. He looks completely disoriented because he's like, how the fuck can I walk?
I will say, TV writers are cowards. You've got characters like
Say no
Sawyer,
more.
Saeed, all these great names. The main guy's called Jack.
I know.
Shut up.
And I'm going to be honest.
Come on.
I'm at the end of season 2 and Jack right now is shitting me the most out of every character.
Is he a white guy with sort of like spiky hair?
He's a surgeon with a short buzz cut.
Fuck, of course
Yeah.
he is. Whatever.
Yeah.
Jerk
With
off motion.
With a marriage that didn't work out to a lovely woman because he was too distant.
Sure. Yeah, because he
Kissed another woman.
cares too much about being a surgeon. Whatever,
Much.
man.
Yeah,
fuck off.
Speaking of fuck off,
We hang out together a lot.
this week we watched Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li.
Yeah, we did.
Wow.
I'm so sad that we wanted to get back Mel Killingsworth for this episode, our friend and guest who was on our last Street Fighter episode. but-
FNG.
What?
FNG.
What does that mean?
Friend and guest.
Oh, yeah, FNG, friend and guest. Yeah. I'm chill, I'm
HF
cool.
and HG
Yes,
of the podcast.
Of course. HF and HG.
Come on, Michelle.
Sorry.
Pull your socks up.
Fuck. Wanted to get her back, but scheduling conflicts and all that. It's the end of the year. It's hard to do. We're recording this the day off. When you listen to this, it's going to be that we just talked about it.
We're coming to you live from Melbourne's Inner
This is
North.
the closest we're going to get to live.
Oh, truly. We have never been this close to the wire, but we do it for you, loyal listeners, dedicated fans, honored friends, honored guests,
And for the haters.
and for the trolls.
And for the trolls.
Yeah.
The liars and the bigots.
You know
I
what?
do it for you.
You know what, Michelle?
What?
Haters gonna hate.
That's true. That is their main attribute, I would
Yeah.
say. Haters are going to hate.
Something that I found out the other day, and it really moved me. Haters gonna hate.
You know what I realized the other day, though?
What?
That means lovers going to love.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But in the words of the Black Eyed Peas, where is the love? Where is it?
That's a good point. In the other words of the Black Eyed Peas, let's get it started.
Yeah.
In the wise decision to re-record that song.
And then also in the words of the Black Eyed Peas again, my humps, my humps, my humps, my humps, my lovely lady lumps.
All right, rule of three is we did it.
We can move on.
We've done it.
Let's trash that bit. Yeah, this fucking what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
This was wild.
Why are we back with Street Fighter? Why are we here again?
Because having played Street Fighter, and as I said last time, having read up so much of the lore in my attempt to try and be a good person.
Well, the thing is, I feel bad because I've had both Street Fighter episodes, but you are the person that knows plenty about Street Fighter. And I'm not going to lie, usually I love doing my research.
Yeah.
I'll look into the franchise, I'll look into the video games, I'll look into, what it looks like to play them, who created them. But then this time I went, Michelle knows. She'll know. I don't need to know. She'll know.
But to be fair as well, last time I went on a long rant about how little it resembled Street Fighter. I actually think this has outdone it. This resembles
Yeah.
Street Fighter even less.
Oh, every piece of trivia was talking about the discrepancies between the game and the movie. And I was like, it goes without saying. We can move on.
Yeah. Fundamentally, the character of Nash, not like that. And
Yeah.
in this, he's an Interpol agent. Chun-Li is an Interpol agent.
And it didn't even have like
what do they
Ryu
do?
in it, right? And Ryu is like
No.
the main character.
Well, at the very end, they go like, "Oh, there's
a
some
fighter."
There's a fighter in Japan. I know of one fighter in Japan, Ryu something."
Okay, well, what I'll do is, because I feel like there's a lot we want to talk about with this one.
Yeah,
I will just get into the key details so we can jump straight
the
in.
fucking zoom in.
Zoom. We're gonna crash right in. This film was directed by Andrei Bartkowiak.
Nice.
Thank you so much. And looking into the other things that he's done, I mean, I've never encountered him as a director before. He did a bunch of cinematography as a start, which is probably explains. I feel like there's a lot of cinematographers that go on to be directors, and it's not
Yeah,
successful.
we've encountered that more than any other this job turned director on this
Yeah.
entire list.
Yeah. He did like a handful of other things, and I've never heard of them before, to be honest. And I know everything.
You know every movie.
Every single
Famously,
film.
you know every movie.
Famously, yes. But also, it was written by, get this, it was written by Justin Marks. Justin Marks, just recently, was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay at the 95th Academy Awards as one of the writers of Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, wow.
Top Gun Maverick was fucking amazing.
It was pretty good.
I loved it. I felt like it felt thrilling. But then also, I think Claude and I had gone to the cinema and we'd both popped a Dexy. So that kind of added to it. I remember at one point I went out for a piss in the middle of it because I was too exhilarated by some of the scenes. And the staff were like, it's pretty good, huh? And I was like, yeah, it's really good.
I love how you refer to having fundamentally what is for you medication as popping a Dexy.
I popped a Dexy.
But yeah, if I get popped a Dexy,
You ever just casually pop a Dexy for no good reason?
Sometimes I like to pop a sertraline and I'm like, whoa,
I think
man.
we wanted the energy for Top Gun Maverick. We were like, it'll be sick. And it was.
It helped you sit and focus.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I realized the other day when I went to go see at the Jewish International Film Festival this movie, The Future. By the way, everyone should go watch that movie. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
By the way, there's very pro-Palestinian director and stuff. I went as part of a whole thing. And that movie's genuinely so moving. And like people have this thing with international movies where they assume it's going to be like slow and boring. Nah, that movie zips. It's entertaining. It's fun. I realized for me, part of why I love popcorn at the movies is partly because it's good. And it's partly stimming. Because I'm spending the whole time just like getting that sweet, salty snack in my belly.
And
then
it's
as soon
the
as it
action
runs
of
out,
eating it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as it runs out, I'm like sitting and turning and twisting around. And I'm like, this is why I can sit and focus at the movies, is I get a ton of salty snacks.
Fully. Also, I actually saw, just on the topic of things that we've watched recently that were really good.
Yeah. I mean, I started with The Hunger Games and I buried that I watched that moving great movie.
On Sunday night, because Claude and I'm pretty sure I had COVID. And so I kind of, isolated for like a good week and a half. And then on Sunday night, Claude and I were like, let's get out of the house because we've isolated for ages and we feel fine. And we went to see Napoleon, the new Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
If you look up the reviews, a lot of it is like positive, but not like critically acclaimed. I thought it was fucking fantastic.
Hell yeah.
I was so into it. And I was like, I do love my military history. So that kind of played into it. And at one point I turned to Claude while there was the literal Battle of Waterloo happening. So well done. And I was like to Claude, I think I'm stimming. I'm like stimming in my seat because I was like, ah.
Yes.
But it's funny that you're talking about popcorn because Napoleon was fantastic. I was completely enwrapped with it the whole time. But there was this guy next to me eating popcorn and he had the biggest serving of popcorn I've ever seen. And it kept him, he kept going through it the entire movie.
Yeah.
But he was so loud and he would like dig his hand in really loudly and scrunch about. And it's like, you at least have an obligation to eat your popcorn as quietly as you can.
Yeah.
But he would dive his hand in, grab a fistful, and then just push it into his mouth so loudly.
That's
and at
crazy.
2 or 3 separate points, I had to turn my head towards him to signal, I can fucking hear you. I didn't say anything, but I would look at him and then I would see him just stop and chew really quietly for a bit. And because he was like an 18-year-old boy, and then eventually he would start eating loudly again, and so we would have to repeat this process of me giving him like a warning glance.
That's
It was
crazy.
ridiculous. And he was still eating it by the end of the film because I was like, okay, surely he'll run out of it at some point. No, his serving size was so enormous. It was like 2 buckets of it.
Whereas I have the problem, the shameful moment at the end of every movie, no matter who I go with, where I eat it and then the lights turn on and I look down and whoever I'm with looks at me and I'm covered in popcorn
Oh,
because
my
of my
God.
distinct way of eating it. As you said, like a squirrel, where I get a big handful and then I transfer it into a little pile in front of me and then I eat from that little pile.
And you kind of use all 4 fingers as like a shovel.
Yeah.
It's something I don't
Well, how
think
do you
you
pick
even
up
notice that
things?
you do. I just use like maybe my thumb, my index finger, and my middle finger.
Well, that's why you can't pick up as much.
That's right. I should be utilizing all 5 fingers to shovel popcorn into
Sorry
my
that I'm
mouth.
using the forks God gave me.
It just looks silly because I can see you're not even consciously doing it. You're squeezing your hand together and then just shoveling in.
Yeah.
You would have been like that 18-year-old.
No, because I don't just shove the whole thing into my mouth. I put it in a little pile and then I rapidly
I could have dealt
eat
with
from
that. The guy was going nuts. And the thing was, he wasn't like eating modestly. I mean, he was shoveling. So I was like, surely he will run out. No.
No.
It was the never-ending bucket of popcorn. But Napoleon was great. I actually can't recommend it enough.
Cool.
There's a bit at the beginning where he's like doing a battle at Trudon.
Yeah.
And it's like one of his first military victories. Joaquin Phoenix is fantastic. And I think it made the whole, sort of like the Napoleonic Wars feel actual, like real and tangible, and how frightening it actually would have been. Because I always thought about, like, I've never thought about cannons. After the film, I was like to Claude, I've got to get a fucking book on cannons. Cannons are so cool. Because the cannonballs and the actual attack of cannonballs on a person, on animals, on the battlefield is so scary.
Yeah, it would be.
Oh, it was really good. It was really good. Go see it.
I really want to go see it.
And Vanessa Kirby as Josephine was, I love her. We love her. Anyway.
We got to talk about this movie.
Do we? I could talk about Napoleon for a bit longer. This film also starred Kristen Kruk as Chun-Li.
Sure.
She was the girl in Smallville. I don't know if you ever watched Smallville, but when I saw her, I was like, oh my God, that is the girl from Smallville. She was kind of imprinted on my childhood memories.
But I will say, even though the other Street Fighter movie we watched wasn't great, Ming-Na Wen was way better as Chun-Li.
I love Ming-Na Wen.
And also, it is insulting to cast the skinniest woman I've ever seen as Chun-Li. Chun-Li has giant hands
busty.
and thick thighs,
And
all right?
huge tits.
She does have huge tits, but you get the impression it's almost just muscle underneath there.
Oh, wow.
This is what I
It's
mean.
just pec muscle.
Her thighs are
Yeah.
like bigger than people's heads.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah. She doesn't look athletic enough, frankly.
No, she should be jacked.
Yeah, fully. And to be honest, like she's gorgeous, Kristen Kruk. But yeah, she seemed, I didn't almost believe the strength in her martial arts. Because I was like, from where? From where?
From where?
You were teeny tiny.
A coward would make her jacked.
I was never a Smallville fan. Like, I never watched it.
Oh, that's because it's bad.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad I also picked up on that.
I stayed over at a friend of ours in Sydney earlier this year, and they were watching Smallville, and yeah, that show's bad. It's the reason that you didn't like it is it's not very good.
Yeah. It's got Neil McDonough as M. Bison.
Yes, returning from Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
Yeah, and he has the most distinct features I've ever seen.
He really does.
It's his crazy blonde hair with his big lips and his big nose and his icy eyes. It's just, he's got such incredibly distinctive features.
He's a wild choice for M. Bison, who is both taller, black-haired, and also at a different point in this movie, they show in his backstory his eyes drain of color because he's turning evil. And then they cast the guy with the brightest eyes I've ever seen. You could tell me he is an angel and I would believe you.
Yeah, fully. And then you've got Chris Klein as Interpol agent Charlie Nash. Chris Klein, I actually have a soft spot for.
Really?
Even though he was terrible in this and terrible in a bunch of things. He was from American Pie.
Oh, yeah.
But he was also, this is what I loved him from, he was in the film Election.
Oh, yeah, of course he was.
He plays the jock big brother of the young girl who has that crush on her friend. And when I was, 15 and thought I was completely gay, I would seek out any representation I could, and I would really latch onto any film that had lesbian representation.
Hell yeah.
And because Election had a queer young woman, I was obsessed with it when I was a teenager. And I really liked Chris Klein as her big, stupid, jockey older brother. So he's got a soft spot.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a soft spot for him. Michael Clark Duncan as Balrog. Fucking love Michael Clark Duncan. Every time I see him, he kind of like gives me a bit of joy. He lights up my world.
As soon as I saw him, I was like, oh fuck, Michael Clark Duncan. I put it in my notes. I was so excited. I was like, and you know what? He killed it.
Every time.
He always does.
I feel like he is always such a presence, and he always improves everything he's in.
Big grin. It's perfect because when he's a friendly character, it's fun, and when he's a villainous character, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's a good
every
choice.
time. It's always fun.
He's also great in Kung Fu Panda, a movie that I kind of genuinely want to rewatch.
Yeah.
It's kind of good, right? Like, it's kind of a good movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it when I was a kid. It's got, get ready for the best name that you've ever heard, Moon Bloodgood.
What?
She plays Detective Maya Crimson Viper Suni.
Moon Bloodgood?
Moon Bloodgood.
Oh, holy shit. Oh my God.
I saw it in the opening credits and I was like, what the fuck?
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's the girl who obviously plays Detective Nash's romantic interest as the
Sure.
kind of. Hey, they flirt the entire film.
You described it, what the movie is trying to make you believe.
She's just got the best name. I'm actually just looking her up now to figure out where
if
the
only
fuck
she was
got
good
it
at
from.
acting.
I know. Who is she? Moon Bloodgood. She became one of the Laker girls. Oh, she was a cheerleader for the Laker basketball team.
Oh, okay.
And then she was a model.
Performance of a lifetime.
I know. She was a model. She was ranked number 99 on Maxim's Hot 100 list.
It's kind of mean at that point.
I know.
You're the least hot of the most hot people.
Super offensive. But then she went up to number 53 in 2006 and number 40 in 2007 and then number 20 in 2009.
Yeah.
She really made it.
Wow. By the way, it's like, you know how Empire does like 500 best movies of all time and stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, it'd be an honor to make a movie that someone considers best of all time. But and if you made the one that is number 500, you kind of got to be like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I know there's 499 films in front of mine.
Come on, man. Like, you don't. This feels a little cruel.
And then you've got Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas as Vega.
Oh, that's who it was.
Yeah.
That's why he looked familiar.
Yeah.
That's also why he couldn't act either.
Yeah, fully. And it had the weirdest voice going on.
He's also the weakest member of the Black Eyed Peas. Every single song is, Will.i.am will be rapping as he does. Fergie will come in with ludicrous R&B vocals. Often, but not always, Apple the App will get a verse and it'll be either the best or worst bit of the song, but it'll be there. And then Taboo in the music video will be hanging out.
He's there, hanging out.
He's just there.
He's just hanging out.
Well, we don't talk about him. It's a little taboo.
Good one. Robin Shu or Shao as Jen, the martial arts master. And yeah, there's like the main cast members. There's also Josie Ho, who plays Kantana, that woman that Chun-Li kind of seduces in the club and then attacks in the bathroom.
Yeah, where they were fully going to fuck,
They were
right?
fully going to fuck, and I was like, I did not expect a lesbian moment in this. Like, 15-year-old me would have fucking milked the shit out of that scene.
Yeah.
But she's like the daughter of some insane like casino magnate called Stanley Ho. So she is very well known.
Okay.
So that's the cast. Now, Michelle, I'm just going to be honest with you and the viewers, the listeners. I did have an overview, but it didn't save. And so what that means is that we're just going to have to improv it.
Now, to be fair, we're 30 minutes into our recording. We're fine if we just take our time with the overview, you know?
Okay. All right.
I think if we just dive into it, that's all we have left.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. All right. Well, where does the film start? It starts with Chun-Li as a young girl, and she loves her dad, and he teaches her kung fu, or also called washu.
Wuxia.
Wuxia.
Which is a little confusing because wuxia is a cinematic genre. Or not just cinematic, it's also literary. It's the specific kind of Chinese martial arts, like we're starring it's not just a martial art synonym. It's martial art like warrior with a code, usually from the lower classes and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a specific subgenre of like action and martial arts and stuff is wuxia. I have seen it used more than once in Western movies as synonymous with a style of kung fu. I don't know if that's just Westerners being confused by what it means or whether I'm confused about what it means, but that's what the word means.
Who knows? And then he teaches her how to do kung fu.
Yeah.
And then
as well as being a concert level pianist.
That's right. And then she watches her father one night get abducted by Bison, who is evil and blonde and says he would never harm a schoolgirl. So then he's taken, and then she grows up, and one night after a recital, she receives an ancient Chinese scroll with text that she cannot understand. So she wanders the streets of Hong Kong and shows it to an old woman, and the old woman's like, you need to go to Bangkok and meet Jen, who's a martial artist.
Yeah. Which they also kept pronouncing as like Gen.
Yeah.
Which made me wonder if they were doing Ken. But Ken's American.
But I thought Jen or Gen was a character in Street Fighter.
Oh, maybe. I don't remember Gen.
When I was like looking into it like briefly, I looked up like that character, and it did say he is an elderly Chinese martial arts master and former assassin in the Street Fighter world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe he's their master. You know what? I don't think he was in Street Fighter 5. And that's the main one I've interacted with.
Fair.
Or 2, which is the other one I've interacted with.
He is in the Street Fighter lore very much tied up with Chun-Li's backstory.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, so he does exist.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. I was waiting for that.
It's been given.
So she goes to Bangkok and she lives like on the streets for a while, homeless.
Yeah.
And then
it's a
she
little
needs
vague.
to find him and she gets attacked in an alley, or rather she confronts a group of men in the alley. By the way, the men fully have American accents.
They
They're
do.
like, hey, what are you doing here, sweet baby?
No, I thought I wrote it down. What is it? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he pulls out like a butterfly knife and pulls it, and he's like, "It's none of your business, baby." It's so
like,
ridiculous.
Why are these white boys in the streets of Bangkok?
Well, wait, you're also missing the bit where a scene earlier, a bison like takes over the underground in a very confusing, like he hears like a League of Evil. We see the crime bosses. It's the same scene that's in Kill Bill. You know, and we know that there are a bunch of evil figureheads from multiple cultures because there's a guy in a turban, and then there's an Asian guy, and then there's another white guy, and you're
All
like,
of the
"Ooh."
ethnicities represented.
Movies around this era love to do that. They just whack a guy in a turban in a group, and you're going like, see, all the people.
All the people.
All of them.
Maybe there's
No
like,
black guys.
there might be a black guy with like an African head kind of sort of like colourful hat, almost fez style, but that's it. That's all you're
and
getting.
like a dashiki.
Yes,
Kind of,
fully.
yeah. They love doing that.
Yeah.
But then he like bids them farewell and they start standing up and there's a crossfade, but the crossfade is to like 5 seconds later because it's just feeding them walking out. But he doesn't even. It's not even that later because then
Clearly
it cuts
the edit
to
didn't work, but for some reason they needed the shot of them walking out.
Well, because then it's like just cuts to them like leaving the complex. Just cut straight there. You don't need this weird crossfade of them leaving this room.
Yeah, 100%. So Jen or Gen teaches Chun-Li how to his specific style of martial arts. So there's a really poor montage sequence of them just kind of hanging out a little bit.
They're vibing.
She also learns more about Bison, who is operating Shadaloo publicly. And then while she's spying on Bison's henchman Balrog, who is played by
Michael Clark
Duncan. She overhears a property owner being asked to hand over the rights to a docking harbour, whatever the fuck that means, allowing the shipment of the White Rose. This is where I became undone in writing the initial overview that I lost anyway, because I was like, how the fuck do I explain the White Rose in my brief overview?
Well, here, let me give it a shot, right?
Please.
Because meanwhile to this, contemporaneously, we see Interpol agent Charlie Nash, the most insane cop you've ever met, and what's her name? That's both Moon Bloodgood.
Yeah.
That's both me misremembering the character's name and also about as much characterization as she gets.
Yeah,
is
fully.
what's her name?
Oh, but she takes her shirt off at one point.
That's true. And then it cuts. She walks away from frame, so then it cuts to the front of her, so you can still see her bubbies.
Yeah.
Her little bubbies in that bra.
Oh, don't ever say little bobbies to me ever
Look at them
again.
little bobbies in that booby bra.
I feel the need to cover up my own
No, you
bobbies.
got big bobbies.
God.
We see Agent Charlie Nash. He is following a case, which we understand to be Shadaloo, which, by the way, everyone pronounces as Shadaloo in this.
Do they?
They all say Shadaloo.
What the fuck?
It's craziness. They're following that, and they also get word of the White Rose and all of that, but they know there's something about a shipment, so they go follow to a club the specific woman that they know will be in charge of it. Meanwhile, Chun-Li is also going to the club, which is where she seduces the woman, and then instead of fucking her in the bathroom, beats the shit out of her.
Yeah, which was a disappointing end for me.
Really disappointing, especially because I'm like, I'm sure if you fucked, she might have told you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Beat the shit out of her.
Play the long game.
Yeah, play that long game.
Yeah.
Fuck it, get married, have kids.
Yeah. It'll cost you a lot.
And then find out about the White
Find
Rose.
out.
Find out about the
35
White Rose.
years later, just ask a casual question one day.
So,
What was that thing
the
about the White Rose? What? I don't... Do you remember that?
and then fucking slit her throat.
And bash her head into a
Yeah.
toilet stall.
She finds out about like when it's going to be done and manages to escape from Charlie Nash. Now, Charlie Nash and what's her name knows that Chun-Li is involved and are trying to look for her because they think she's a baddie, right? And she kind of is a baddie.
Yeah. She's slaying. Full slayage. Et cetera, et cetera.
They both sort of continue going. Meanwhile, we get Bison's backstory, which is
crazy.
it's so grim.
It is.
It's so... Also, by the way, he runs Esperanto security. I don't know why they named it Esperanto.
Yeah, the whole backstory with Bison is that He was born in Bangkok to Irish missionaries, but abandoned as an infant.
Why does he then have an Irish accent?
Yeah, I know.
Right? Because
barely remembers
he was abandoned. He should have a Thai accent.
Fully. He grew up an orphan and lived his life as a thief. He killed his pregnant wife and transferred his conscience into their prematurely born daughter.
Yeah, well, yeah, he specifically like
ripped her out.
Yeah, like dives his hands into
just,
her belly to like force cesarean.
That is fully like a fear of mine. When I was young, I always thought that if I put my finger into my belly button too far, my belly button would come undone. And he kind of just wedges his finger into her belly button and splits it open. And I was like, it's all of my nightmares.
It's not even explained if he needed to do that because she was about to have birth.
Yeah.
Just let her do it.
He put her through excruciating pain.
Yeah, you know that she's going to get the baby out on her own.
Yeah,
you don't
so
have
unnecessary, Bison.
Bison, this is a little unnecessary.
Well, and then she finds out more about the arrival of the White Rose, and she's captured, but then she's captured. Oh my God, classic, always captured.
She's captured. Oh, but then we get the rope stunts where she does... I think generally the one action scene that works for me.
I completely agree. There was literally that part of the film where I was like, oh my God. And I was literally thinking, man, if that was me, I'd be dead already. How impressive.
She's
blah,
like,
blah, blah.
Gets the chair kicked out from under her and then she's like strung up like feet up, head down kind of thing. And then she gets swung and she uses the momentum to like fling over it so that she's standing upright instead of hanging there.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
But then she gets to be reunited with her dad, who's been kept prisoner all these years, and he is fully murdered in front of her. And that was actually a pretty bold move.
Yeah.
They broke his neck and she starts crying, and I was like, wow.
Although they also did the easiest to fake stunt possible of breaking someone's neck, but also cut
Didn't
away
show
from
it.
didn't
Yeah,
show
just
it as if they didn't have the budget for it.
Probably didn't.
There's no budget needed. It's the easiest stunt to do.
And so, you know, after that, which is horrible, she escapes classically. It's the classic shit.
Sorry, before, I just want to say, because it's in my notes, before he kills the dad, he does say, your father has been the milk of my business, but even milk has an expiration date. Terrible line.
The guy won an Oscar. Well, the guy was nominated for an Oscar, all right?
Hey,
he did Top Gun Maverick. He gave me a great Dexy experience.
Sorry.
You take that back.
I didn't mean to insult the work of this guy.
Oh, man. And then eventually there's a shootout with the Shadaloo forces. And then, you know, people die, Bison flees. And then she wins.
Well, no. They figure out that the White Rose is actually the daughter.
Yeah.
The daughter that is filled with a conscience. And then...
She's a... Yeah.
Bison doesn't flee. She kills Bison in what I'm going to pitch right now is I think the funniest death that we've encountered on this podcast because he's like fallen down onto a platform and she jumps as if she's going to like land on his chest or something and then like almost arrests momentum partway through and then like kicks down in a specific way that like twists his head around.
Yeah. Fully. I mean, part of martial arts is that you can suddenly defy gravity. Stop midair when you need to. At least pause a little bit.
But she does it with her thighs, doesn't she? She like lands on his head and then like twists
thighs?
around. Yeah, what thighs? That would have been better if she had thick hams.
And then at the end, you know, it's just like she gets visited by Jen or Gen back in Hong Kong, and then he's like, there is a fighter in a tournament and there's a guy called Ryu, and that's the end.
Yeah. Oh, she also does
blue.
magic. She does magic.
Yeah.
That's the climax. It's the worst magic VFX you've ever seen in your life. She summons an orb.
You've never summoned an orb?
No, I've never summoned an orb.
I'm summoning one right now.
I got orbs. I got 2 in my head and 2 in my chest, baby.
Nice.
Yeah. I used to also have 2 in my pants. They're gone.
Nice.
Got rid of them orbs, baby.
Put them in your chest.
That's not how it worked.
Oh.
That is not at all. Abigail, I need you to know.
Yes.
You know that that's not how bottom surgery works, right?
But it's recycling. It's good for the environment.
That's all the time we have, folks.
All right. Look, that was a lot. Do you want to hear some trivia?
Yeah, sure.
Let's get into it. So back in 2003, Jean-Claude Van Damme was working on a sequel to the original Street Fighter movie titled Street Fighter 2 for Universal. Several cast members have been hired to join him in the sequel, including his Universal Soldiers co-star Dolph Lundgren.
Wow.
In an unrevealed role. Australian actress Holly Valance would have replaced Kylie Minogue as Cammy White. So they're just going from one neighbour star to another.
Wow, yeah.
Actually, I really liked Holly Valance when I was like a kid.
So still not
Had a
clockable
moment.
enough to play Cammy.
Fully. And Damien Chapa would have reprised his role as Ken Masters. Byron Mann was also reportedly in talks to return. However, after a few years of trying to get the sequel off the ground, the project never materialized, and any plans for a sequel were scrapped in favor of this movie. And then after that, Jean-Claude Van Damme was approached to join this film, and he fully turned it down. He was like, I want nothing to do with it. As if his one would have been any better than this, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with that movie. Your movie sucked too.
Yeah. Both Taboo and Michael Clark Duncan are fans of the Street Fighter games, which is why they signed on.
That does track. That's
It does.
Fully consistent with everything I know about those two men.
They're both like really wholesome. From the look of it, they actually are really wholesome dudes.
I don't know enough about Taboo to say.
Taboo's just married. He has kids. And
He's not just married. He's also in the Black Eyed Peas.
well, he's only married. Yeah, that's the one thing he's ever done.
The only thing
I
that
just
man
mean in
Taboo...
terms of his personal life, he's just married.
Well, he's boring.
Just chilling.
He shouldn't be in the Black Eyed Peas.
I'm married.
Maybe
Am
he was-
I boring?
No, you have other things going on.
Like what? I'm not in a band.
We're doing it now.
I don't rap.
We're doing it now. This is it.
This is shit,
This is
Michelle.
all of... I didn't say it wasn't. I said you have it going on.
Rick Yoon was originally cast as Jen, but he was replaced by Robin Shu, who played, and this is what I noted this down for, he plays a character called Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. So we will be encountering him again very soon.
Yeah.
In the video games, Vega is Spanish. In this film, Vega is Native American because Taboo is Mexican and Native American.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
I
fine.
know. In the video games, Vega apparently wears a mask to protect his beauty, but in this film, he wears it to hide his face.
Rude to Taboo.
Yeah.
do you reckon Taboo was probably more relevant in the early days? You know the early days of the Black Eyed Peas when they were actually like good at making hip hop instead of they made pop?
I don't know. I'm really not sure.
Because maybe he wasn't into it and he just stuck around.
Maybe.
You know?
Maybe. Do you want to hear some reviews?
Yes, please.
Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li, like the previous live-action film Street Fighter, was not pre-screened for critics, who panned it. Again, sometimes I think we should have called this not screened for critics.
I said before, once we are through the list and we're not descending rating, we should just continue as not screened for critics.
Did you say descending rating?
Whatever, man. Whatever. We're years into this.
Who gives a shit? I'm sorry, I just caught on my throat. Review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes gives the film a rating of 3%. Oh, criminally low.
Brutal.
It was also ranked 44th in Rotten Tomatoes, 100 worst reviewed films of the 2000s.
It's weird because I both agree, and I'm also like, I've definitely seen worse.
Yeah, I've definitely seen worse. Apparently, the critical consensus on Rotten Tomatoes says the combination of a shallow plot and miscast performers renders Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li a perfectly forgettable video game adaptation. Film historian Leonard Maltin seemed to agree, stating that the 1994 picture was one of the worst movies ever inspired by a video game. Even Jean-Claude Van Damme fans couldn't rationalize this turkey, which should have been titled 400 Funerals and No Sex. Yet this
What?
pointless... I know.
What?
Yet this pointless and it's okay, he makes up for it in this next sentence. Yet this pointless and inept action vehicle makes its predecessor seem like Gone with the Wind, hopelessly contrived with lamely choreographed fight sequences. Highlight is Chris Klein's cry of, "Bomb! Get out now!" Our sentiments exactly.
I think where you should really shout out Chris Klein is the bit where they're listening to on the radio Michael Clark Duncan going like, guess we'll go check the Secretary of Commerce, and then you hear Chris Klein immediately go, looks like somebody's just got the Secretary of Commerce. Made me laugh so much.
Here's an IMDb review left by Home Depot's 2006 called Real Life Review. Sorry.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot.
10 out of 10. Oh, what the fuck? I've seen many reviews and movies. I just feel like it's an alien typing it or something now.
It feels like an AI chatbot.
Real life review.
We'll never get through to the end of this an episode and not be starting to lose it.
Yeah. I've seen many reviews on movies, and I just have to say, I am very disappointed. Not on my movie, but on people's judgment of the movie. Face it. This world lives in the past. Saying it's not original, then all I have to say is fuck you, Street Fighter. I didn't care for, but have ever since I've seen this new movie, I am amazed on how much better it will become in our generation, and I will be proud to see a Street Fighter 2 movie. This movie has better production than the original Street Fighter. Sorry to the people who made the first movie, but this movie has a better cast, better production. Stop complaining. People, it's the new age. Live in it or leave it alone.
What the fuck?
10 out of 10.
Sometimes we go like, this person's having an episode. I think that person's having like a Hunter S. Thompson like weekend of debauchery, and this is their screed.
Yeah, 100%. This is their
We just read someone's manifesto.
Fully. I'm actually just checking what other reviews they've left because that was unhinged. And that was it. Just the one review they've ever left.
Are we not using IMDb correct? Because every time we read someone leaving these insane reviews, we're like, what other reviews? And it's like none.
It's just that one. This one is called Impressive. It's a 10 out of 10 review left by Batsy Charkey. I heard a lot of bad reviews, but I honestly think that this movie doesn't deserve it. Chun-Li was always my favorite character, and to see a film just of her was so entertaining. I watched it when it first came out, and I'm watching it again right now. It's better now. And Vega and Chun-Li, they always had bad blood. It's fun watching them fight. 10 out of 10.
I feel filthy after that last bit.
Stop using ellipses is all I ask of people leaving reviews. It sounds so sinister.
It does.
And this is a review left by MZ Quinn called This is a Great Movie, 10 out of 10. I think this movie is out of the charts. I love the fighting in it and the way the main girl just kicks those guys' butts. This movie was just what I was looking for. I know some people didn't like this movie, either because they've played the game or think this is a relatively crap movie, or something to do with the main characters in the movie, not being who they wanted to be in the movie. Fuck, stop saying in the movie. But in my opinion, this movie is just amazing. And the girl just kicks butt in the movie. Man, if you haven't seen this movie, go see it. You might like it, and you might not, but it's just one of these movies. I hope you do enjoy it, because me and my family certainly enjoyed the movie. And believe me, we're very hard to impress. 10 out of 10 is what I give this awesome movie. Oh, man.
I love the movies.
Please proofread. That was MZ Quinn and her slam poem. What was your favorite? What was your review? My brain's dying.
You got it. Look, it's pretty tricky because on the one hand, Charlie Nash was entertainingly bad, and I also applaud the decision for, in almost every single scene, having almost every single character dressed in unbuttoned, really long, billowy button-up shirts.
Yeah.
Everyone in every scene is wearing a shirt with an overshirt that is just so thin and narrow and spindly, and it flings around as they're fighting, and it always makes them look like they're so sweaty and hot.
Yeah.
And I was entertained by spotting just how many overshirts there were, given how many costume changes there are in this movie.
Yeah.
But outside of that, this movie kind of sucks and it's boring, and it made me feel like I was turning my brain off.
Yeah.
And that sucked because I had a really big headache while watching it, and I really wanted my brain. It did not help.
No.
Maybe it was inside. I think I've like Pavloved myself into getting a headache when I watch these movies. So I think for that, I'm going to give it a 2.7.
Yeah, I also wasn't impressed. I think I expected more fun, and it wasn't fun. Not even like Kristen Krug's really bad narration of like, I had to take to the streets of Bangkok. The streets were alive in Bangkok.
I don't know. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. I could have been a great Chun-Li. Clearly.
I think you're the perfect casting for Chun-Li. That's a bold move.
Listen. Yeah, it was dull. It ruined my day. Most of these films ruined my day.
This is the beginning of the day, and it's ruined your day.
There's no coming back. Yeah. 2.5 out of 10.
Yep, cool.
Yeah.
Also, Mel did manage to give us her rating. She sent me, honestly, this movie was everything I expected the first one to be. Excoriatingly bad. 0.5 out of 10.
Are we too lenient?
We have a track record of this. We are way more lenient than because they don't know what it's like.
They don't go through it like we do.
Yeah.
We go through the fucking ringer.
Yeah.
All right, every week.
We're in the trenches.
Well, thank you, Mel.
Week.
Thank you
Mel.
for kind of showing us how far we've slid. You know,
Yeah.
that slope was slippery.
Your spirit is here and it reflects poorly on us.
Yeah, it really does. We actually need a reminder that we live in a warped world.
Yeah, exactly.
Something is wrong. Well, guys, hey, what's going on? Chickadees, you want to follow us on the social medias? Well, why don't you? We're on.
Jesus Christ.
So we've done this for 3 years and we still can't figure out an ending.
Wait, what do you mean? I think I'm okay at doing this bit
Hey, push all the blame onto me. That's
Yeah.
very avoidant behavior.
now. Okay.
It's about accountability, Michelle, and it's about showing up.
I'm asking you to be accountable.
No, this is about you.
Well, very avoidant behavior, Abigail.
You can follow us on social media. We're on TikTok we're on Twitter or X under Rate Descend Pod. We're on TikTok under Rating Descending, or you can email us at ratingdescending@gmail.com.
Or also now you can find us on YouTube at Rating Descending. Yes. Yes. You could also, though, find us on our own personal socials. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Michelle.St. And also, oh no, I've been trying to remember this one particular plug all fucking week. I don't know, watch Boyfriend by Moldoga, watch Unerased at -18 Youth on Instagram or unerased.tv on TikTok. Oh, that's right. That's what I wanted. I released a sketch on my Instagram, the pizza sketch that Abby worked on, honored friend of the podcast, Gaten Souza worked on. Go watch it. Go watch the pizza sketch.
Yeah, go do it.
And if you're not on Instagram, maybe I'll put it on the Rating Descending TikTok.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll put it there.
Fun.
Yeah, why not?
And you can no longer find me on social media.
Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
You can also leave a review. I actually think after this moment, don't leave us a review. Let it simmer a bit and just remember
try
the good
again
bits.
next week. Give us another chance.
We'll earn your review.
We will. Well, that was another Street Fighter film, Michelle. What are we watching next week?
Next week, we are watching Extreme Movie.
What
It's
is that?
It's apparently a sex comedy. You got to imagine how fucking terrified I was trying to find sex movie. Clicking on random files online, trying to find something called Extreme Movie.
Yeah.
I'm fucking terrified of what I was going to find.
Oh my god.
Absolutely horrified.
Oh,
but
boy.
apparently it's just like a sex comedy, but like parody or something.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It's one of the movies. We got heaps of them coming up.
Got so many of them. Another day ruined next week already. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Yes, bitch. All right, well, join us then. And again, let us redeem ourselves.
It'll be more funny than this.
Hey!